Hello, good evening. I'm Colonel Michael Greenberg, the Fort Belvoir Garrison Commander. Thank you for joining us today again for another weekly virtual town hall. We appreciate the opportunity to update you on the installation's COVID-19 response plan, and more importantly, to address your concerns and questions about topics related to COVID-19 and other topics across the installation. As you can see, again today we have three people sitting at the table. First, it's my pleasure to welcome Fairfax County Executive Brian Hill. It is an honor for you to be here today, and we truly appreciate it. Mr. Hill is appointed by the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and is directly responsible for managing county functions in the most populous jurisdiction in the area. Fort Belvoir works very closely with the Fairfax County, fostering collaboration between the two public agencies. I invited Mr. Hill here today to share some information about the county's COVID-19 response, reopening, and also allow you to ask him some questions. Like every week, I've also invited Captain Cindy Judy, the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital Director, to join us to answer questions as well and to provide some updates. And as always, I have some subject matter experts in the room with me that will answer some of those unanswered questions. First, let me start by saying this is Army Birthday Week, and I can't resist. Go Army, beat Navy. Just a little friendly reminder of the rivalry between Captain Judy and myself and the Navy and the Army. But in all seriousness, I want to thank General Fogarty today. He was our guest speaker at our Fort Belvoir Army Birthday celebration. It was virtual. If you missed it today, please go on Facebook and watch the ceremony. It was pretty powerful, and again, it was a great way to recognize Army Week and the Army's birthday. Also, you'll see here in our Eagle, we do have some tidbits on the Army birthday as well. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Captain Judy, and she'll give you some updates.
Well, you know, I'm going to kick it off by saying happy birthday to the Army. It's as the lone sailor in the room, right? And I'll give it to you this week, but I can still count those wins on two hands. When was the last time you could do that in the Army?
That
right?
is true.
All right.
Touche.
But for all the soldiers out there, right, and those veterans that served in the Army, I just want to say happy 245th birthday upcoming. We in the Navy have learned a lot from our Army colleagues and continue to do so, and I'm just honored to serve alongside of some really great soldiers here at Fort Belvoir, so thanks so much for that. So I know what's interesting to most people right now is how are we doing? What do those trends look like, right? And so, as I mentioned before, we not only track the trends here in the National Capital Region within the military health system, but we track those trends for the state of Virginia and as well as the Northern Virginia trends. So remember those three criteria that they're really looking for. We'll start with symptoms. Right now we're seeing that our testing has increased in the NCR, but that's really the asymptomatic testing that we're doing, a lot of that mission testing. And so we're green there, right? We're not seeing an increase in the amount of patients that are presenting for testing. And that's true for Fort Belvoir Community Hospital as well as for the Virginia Department of Health. They've had a downward trend since their peak on May 28th. And so we're doing well. We haven't had that 14-day trend quite yet, but we are seeing that downward trend and we continue to monitor that. The next thing we look for are the cases, and I'm not giving those numbers away. I haven't given them away yet, and I'm not going to. But for cases, we're seeing in the National Capital Region that case trajectory over the past 2 weeks has gone from 3.8% to 2.3%. So we're seeing a decrease in the slope in the number of cases. And then the average new positives per day has decreased over the past 2 weeks. So we have met the trigger in the National Capital Region military facilities for a decrease in cases for 14 days. The percent positives is also decreased significantly in the NCR. And then what we're seeing for cases when we look at Virginia, remember Virginia is broken out into sort of two areas, right? There's Northern Virginia and then the rest of Virginia. And what we're seeing right now is we're seeing a downward trajectory of 7 days followed by a little bit of an increase in new cases per day. So just a little bit of a spike, but generally a downward trend. And then the thing that people talk about all the time is, well, you see more cases now because you're doing more testing. And so one of the metrics that we track really closely is that what they call the percent positivity. So how many of those cases are positive out of all of that testing? And another thing that they do with that is they take that metric and they do a 7-day average to take away the daily variation so that we can look at that trend. And what we're seeing is, although we're seeing a downward trend in both Northern Virginia and in Virginia, we're seeing that Northern Virginia, probably because of the dense population and some other reasons, is lagging behind the rest of Virginia a little bit. So they're hanging around a 12% positivity right now, while the rest of Virginia is at a 7%. So that hopefully can help advise you and General Jones on the HPCon conditions. Clearly we had met those medical facility criteria a while ago. We have adequate staff and adequate equipment and adequate beds to care for patients, whether it's COVID or other conditions. And we have plenty of PPE. And so we're also seeing good trends from our partners in the network, sir, right? We can remain in close contact with them and know that the hospitals out in the civilian network are doing well as well. So there's my optimism for today. Things are looking up in terms of those trends and helping with that HPCon level determination. The next thing I wanted to talk about is an update on pharmacy. So, you know, good news, bad news, right? The good news is that we're keeping that curbside pharmacy service open for a little while longer. I'm not sure how long that will last, but I don't have a plan to close it. But this week the weather got really, really warm, and so we had some concern about having those medications out in the garage for a period of time, right? So they put them out on shelving, and so we've moved that process a little bit, and so now the curbside pharmacy pickup area is in the River Circle. So the Oaks Circle is that main one where you come in the main entrance, and then the one that's closest to the garage where we were doing the curbside pharmacy, that circle is now where patients can pick up their prescription. I can keep that service running longer if I can get more patients to actually activate their prescription in advance by the phone activation or the online activation, rather than driving into the garage to do that activation with the staff that I have with the computers, those workstations on wheels. And so I'm encouraging people, if you're watching this, if you're talking to folks, I can keep that curbside pharmacy running longer if I can get more people activating their prescriptions over the phone. So please continue to do that. And my final update really is folks with chronic illness. And I mentioned over the last couple of weeks that the hospital is incredibly safe. We've put a lot of measures in place to protect patients while they're at the hospital. And I just need folks to know that if you've got a chronic illness that you have not either talked to your provider or been to an appointment, we're now, well past 3 months into this pandemic, right? And some people are really avoiding care. And we're starting to see where people who have neglected to be seen or even do a virtual appointment are starting to have some side effects of not getting that care for their chronic illness. And so I need people to know that it's much more dangerous to ignore a chronic illness than it is to come to the hospital for an appointment. So the hospital is safe, and we stand by ready to help you. So whether you call and do a virtual appointment or you come in, please get the care that you need. And that's my update for today.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hill, and he'll provide some updates about the county. Sir, thank you for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. We spent some time together this afternoon. You let me touch all the buildings on this fine installation in approximately 25 minutes. I don't know how you did that. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak. Fairfax County, obviously, we are in phase 1 as of today. Tomorrow, June 12th, we will be in phase 2. I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. Fairfax County schools, and then business, which everybody's very concerned about. Operations at Fairfax County have been normal since day 1. We have changed how we've done business. We've done a lot more teleworking. We've done a lot more online. My team is still coming into the building. We are socially distancing. Again, PPE has been our biggest issue with supply and procurement. Thank you for always looking out for me as I'm still on the search for gowns, but I do appreciate all the work you have done. Board meetings are going to continue to be virtual. Supervisor Jeff McKay, Chairman Jeff McKay. It still takes me a little while to call him chairman. He has put out a memo stating when we may go back to in-person meetings, and what we have to really understand is if you go back to in-person meetings, the public will also be welcome. So we are still trying to work through that. My estimation, phase 3, whenever that happens, we'll probably have to start moving more to in-person. The schools, the superintendent of schools has provided an update to, now that's the superintendent of schools for the Commonwealth, not for the county. So the governor's office has provided an update as of Tuesday. Our superintendent, Scott Brabrand, Dr. Brabrand is providing the school board an update on June 15th of how we're going to return to learn. I will tell you in phase 2, K through 3 has instructional learning, but there are strict social and physical distancing guidelines. We're also looking at daycare because obviously we go into phase 2. Folks are going to be going back to work, supposedly going back to work. But if we allow them to go back to work, we're going to need a place for their young people to stay safely. Businesses, phase 2, tomorrow, open up to 50% occupancy indoors. That is opposite of what we had in phase 1 when it was 50% outdoor only. Curbside is going to continue. Strict social and physical distancing. In my estimation, looking at the county in general, we're going to be looking at phase 2 and our finances. This COVID has done a little work on our finances and revenue. Our budget has been approved. It's no tax increase. It's a bare bones budget. I am scheduled to speak to the Board of Supervisors quarterly, if not monthly, on where we are with our revenue. Revenue is going to be the key to getting us through COVID. We have suspended all purchasing as of March 15th, pretty much. PPE is not something that we have suspended because we have been trying to ensure that we have the gowns and the masks, the gloves. That is a lot of PPE for our public safety, law enforcement. We need that type of We need that type of gear to ensure that our troops are safe and sound. So that is pretty much an update of the county. Again, 3 phases. In my way I look at life, Fairfax County, schools, and then businesses. And if we can get back to normal soon, I'm hopeful that we can get there pretty soon, but I'm not certain. Got to remember, you got to keep social distancing as the foremost, and please wash your hands.
Okay, thank you, sir, very much. Okay, so I'm going to also provide some updates today, and both Captain Judy and Mr. Hill kind of built on some things that are going on here on the installation. And so first, let me talk about force protection levels. Okay, so our FPCON, or our force protection level, is still at Charlie. That has not changed. However, I do see it going back down to HPCON Bravo here within the next week. Again, that's a senior mission commander, or senior commander, and really a Northcom commander decision. And so we will continue to update you at each of the town halls and let you know when it changes. Our health protection condition is still Charlie. As Captain Judy has said, there are indicators and conditions that are positive. There are a lot of trending down data. As Mr. Hill said, the county is following suit with the state as far as phase 2. And so the county will go back, will go to a phase 2 plan tomorrow. And so you ask, well, why doesn't the base go down to HPCON Charlie or HPCON Bravo tomorrow? And as we've talked about on many occasions, we use the local and state data to inform decisions. However, for our installations, mission assurance is also a factor. We look at, number one, the safety and protection of our residents and our community. And then 2, we need to ensure mission assurance across the board. And so we will see here in the next couple of weeks. Again, General Jones is the decider for health protection conditions. We have started providing some weekly recommendations to General Jones. He is assessing, and we do see that going de-escalating or going down within the next couple of weeks. Again, not going to provide a date at this point, but just to say we are getting close to that point in the future. I want to address a couple of other items. So for gates, so we had said that Kingman Gate was going to become open in the next couple of weeks. I'm proud to say on Monday, someone give me the date, 15 June? 15 June, Monday 15 June, Kingman Gate will be open at 06 in the morning. And so again, mark that on the calendar. Everyone should be happy because I finally provided a date in this forum. And then as we continue to monitor traffic, so our conditions of our DA civilian guards are doing well. Our traffic is increasing, and we see as we continue to expand services and go back to work, the count of going into the gates will increase, and we will start looking at additional gates to open. But again, mark your calendars for Monday for Kingman Gate. Also happy to put another date on the calendar. So tomorrow the marina will open. Okay, and so those who are using the marina and the RV park, those that will open, correct George, tomorrow. And again, one of our services people have been asking about, and so proud to say tomorrow that will open. I know also people have asked about golf. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a date tomorrow. However, I will tell you as the public health emergency goes away and we go into HPCon Bravo, the golf course is at the top of the list, and that would be forthcoming here in the next couple of weeks. Pools. So I will thank and not thank Mr. Hill on pools. So right now the county is not opening pools. Okay, right now I'm not telling you that Fort Belvoir is not going to open pools, but I'm not going to tell you we are. We are awaiting guidance. So the Army and senior leadership is looking at pools across all installations. So until we get some better guidance on pools, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the pools look like they're ready to be swam in. That is probably a true statement for the most part. However, until we get additional guidance from our higher headquarters, we continue to work with the county and the state. We'll provide more detail at a future date. Barbershops. So I believe last Friday we opened barbershops, maybe 2 Fridays ago, for service members in uniform. It was two Fridays ago. Last Friday we decided we were going to allow service members not in uniform to begin to use the barbershop. Again, I think we have gotten most of the service members taken care of, and we are now going to open it up to non-service members. So starting tomorrow, those non-service members can also use the barbershop, and within reason, we do have one hairdresser that is coming in to cut females' hair, and so you can start making appointments there as well. There's one caveat to this whole process. So again, to make sure that our service members are getting the appointments first, service members will be able to book appointments more than 1 week out. So it'll be about 2 weeks out. For our non-service members, on Friday, the following week's calendar will open up. So tomorrow you can make appointments all the way up till next Friday. Okay, and then service members can make appointments for 2 weeks out. And that should allow the services to provide to the community at large, also ensuring that those that require haircuts, service members also get their haircuts on base if needed. We are still at 50% capacity, and all measures and mitigation strategies are still in place. So again, that's a good news story for the installation. Enhanced screening. And so we've talked about enhanced screening for a couple of sessions. If you did not notice the enhanced screening, the temperature reading at the PX has gone away as of yesterday afternoon. as of tomorrow night, so tomorrow will be the last day at the commissary for enhanced screening. I will tell you that the requirements to wear face coverings is still in effect for both the commissary and the main exchange, and also buildings around the installation, so that has not changed. The only thing that changed is that someone will not meet you at the entrance, take your temperature, and ask you those 5 questions. However, that being said, I ask you to ask yourself those questions, and if the answer is yes, please don't try to escape in and contaminate others across the installation. Likewise, if you are not wearing your face covering in the facilities, there is still going to be a COVID patrol out there. We also have asked management at the commissary and PX to continue to enforce those standards. Those face coverings are really important. Besides washing the hands and the hand sanitizer, keeping that maintaining that 6-foot distance, those face coverings are important to protect not just you, but more importantly or more effectively those around you. So those face coverings aren't really protecting you, they're protecting the person that is around you, or the surfaces that are around you. And so again, if you can't maintain those 6 feet distances or in those designated areas, you must wear face coverings. I'll talk a minute about housing and just generally what's going on in housing. So there was a message that was sent out yesterday through the housing network. There was some non-clarity in some of the email that went out, so I want to clarify. I did send out another message this morning to clarify, but I'll clarify once again in this forum. And so those messages that the villages of Belvoir send out on my behalf, when I say on behalf of the Garrison Commander, that means the message is coming from the Garrison Command. It's not, I did not direct anything, and it was not meant to direct anything in that email. I sent a follow-up message out there to clarify that I did authorize the housing villages of Belvoir to begin routine work orders a week from yesterday, so next Wednesday. As far as all those mitigating strategies and measures that were outlined on that email, that is a villages of Belvoir policy. The question came up is, well, you can't force someone in my house to do something. It's my house. I understand that. So one, it is a villages of Belvoir policy. As you know, everything around the installation is geared towards safety. And so anyone who wants to begin operations on the installation brings their mitigation measures to the garrison in conjunction with the public health emergency officer, the hospital, and the garrison and subject matter experts to include safety. We go through and make sure that they are abiding by what measures have been put out by the governor, by the county, by the hospital, and our subject matter experts. And so it was mentioned that while the technician is in the house, that we limit the conversation time or interaction time to less than 10 minutes, which is again within some guidelines that are out there. But also that face coverings are worn as you're talking with the technician, and then while they're working, to be out of sight, and for other members to be in a different room. Again, a villages of Belvoir policy that I am trying to put out to the community at large. This was not meant to inconvenience residents, but as the commander, I'm responsible not only for the residents' safety, but also the safety of those who work on the post, and as such, to include our contractors. And so I understand there's been a concern with some that, hey, I have medical issues, or there's a reason why I can't wear a face covering. Again, that's something you would work with the villages at Belvoir. However, please keep in mind there are other options out there. One, these are routine work orders, and so you could delay the work orders until you feel comfortable and until the conditions are met and lowered down where face coverings are still no longer required. You could also have someone else in your household there to greet the technician and to be there on site, or a friend or spouse. You also could not be at home. You can give a permission to enter, and the technician can come out to your site and begin the work. But again, those are all measures out there. I would recommend, if you are someone who is having challenges with that policy, please go reach out to the Villages of Belvoir and work that issue with them. If there are still concerns out there, you can always reach out to first the Public Works Housing Office, which is escalation level 2. And if that does not work, you can reach out to level 3, the Garrison, through the hotline or through ICE. There's a lot going on this week, I understand. Okay, playgrounds. Playgrounds came up as well. And some of these are questions that I'm answering up front. And so, again, I think over the last 2 or 3 weeks, playgrounds have been talked about across the installation, all 43 of them. What I told you last week, which we are continuing to continue to do safety inspections. So the Garrison Safety Certified Playground Inspectors have gone out, have inspected over half of those playgrounds over the last week. They will continue next week and finish up. Those playgrounds, if they have unsafe apparatuses or unsafe to use, those playgrounds will remain closed until they're fixed. Playgrounds in general are still not open. As we go into HPCon Bravo, and we continue to look at the guidance that's put out by CDC, the state, and the county, we will look at playgrounds, and the Villages of Belvoir at the end of the day will have, it is their playgrounds, so they will come to the Garrison to request them to open it back up. And again, if the mitigation strategies, the guidance is not there, the playgrounds will remain closed until all parties, to include the hospital and the public health emergency officer, agree that those measures can be met. Salons. So salons are in the same category as golf courses. We are looking now at the mitigation strategies that we will put into place for salons, both hair and nails, to open back up on the installation. Those discussions are going on now. I foresee when we hit HPCon Bravo, again in the next couple weeks, that the salons will open back up on the installation. Outdoor recreation. Again, I believe outdoor recreation is at the beginning of phase or HPCon Bravo, and so those should open up here in the next couple weeks. Mr. Hill alluded to the phase 2 and the 50% capacities for dine-in eating. Again, we are slightly behind what the county is doing. What I'll tell you is next Friday, so a week from tomorrow, our indoor dining facilities will open back up across the installation. So we are working on that plan. Again, like always, the public health authorities will go in. We're doing public health assessments each week on each of our facilities. They'll make sure that the plan is out there and we're keeping a safe environment for our residents. And then I think the last one I want to hit is sidewalks. And so sidewalks has come up. There's 2 more I'll hit here in a minute. Sidewalks have come up a couple of times. I acknowledge that there are some folks across the installation that have identified some sidewalks and they're not in compliance. We are working with the Villages of Belvoir, and we will continue to work those over the next couple weeks to ensure that those are in compliance, or there is a plan to fix sidewalks, not just in the villages, but across Fort Belvoir at large. And then the last one I want to hit is the crime rate in River Village. And I think the Director of Emergency Services was going to hit on this, so Frank, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I will tell you, generally speaking, we are continuing to monitor River Village. I understand people weren't very happy with my comments last week, that I said that the trends have showed that there is not a spike in crime rate in River Village. I will stick by that based off of the counts, the case counts that the Director of Emergency Services and the police chief has provided me. I will tell you, we continue to monitor both Woodlawn and River as those being outside the installation, along with our other communities out there. But we are doing random access control points. We are doing patrols both during the day and night as well. We ask you, if you see something, say something. Everyone has the DES numbers. If we can post those sometime tonight, again, so people have that number they can call. But again, I want to make sure that you understand that we are addressing that issue, and we are taking it seriously. So if, Frank, if you can come up and just address a couple of the DES questions.
Thanks, sir. Once again, I'm Frank Henschel, the Director of Emergency Services, and I do have a couple of unanswered questions I'd like to start with. First question is, as a concerned resident of Fort Belvoir, and in light of the recent violence, I'm worried about the access to post. There are several access control points near Lewis Village that cause me some concern. First one is at the end of Woodlawn Road. That one's called Mears Gate. The other one is behind the Quaker Church. That one is 618, or the old Woodlawn Gate. And I would hate for someone to get hurt. Well, my answer is we truly agree with you. We don't want anyone getting hurt. We've recently discovered some damaged fencing at the old Mears Gate, and we're working with DPW to make some additional repairs in that area. So I share your concerns regarding the two old access control points, and we will increase our patrol presence in that area. The next one is more of a softball, a little bit easier. What is the status of our virtual visitor pass system? Last week it was down. Answer, thank you for that question. The good news is our virtual expedited visitor pass system is back up and running again. It was down for a couple of days last week. The online system process is growing rapidly and in popularity. Just last night we received 50 additional requests for passes, so we're nearing 500 since we've just started this system. Lastly, in regard to the commander discussing some of the recently received several Facebook complaints regarding safety and security in our community, primarily River Village, Lewis Village, GW Village, and Woodlawn. I've asked the Belvoir Facebook managers to post my personal information and email if you have something, like as the commander's saying, you see something, say something. If you see something, an immediate law enforcement issue, obviously report that directly to the police. But if you're not happy with those answers, feel free to contact me via my phone number or my email address. Sir?
Thank you very much. And I believe the fence at the bottom of the hill at Mears Gate is fixed. So thank you, Public Works, for fixing that last week. And thank you for the community to let us know that that was out there. All right, I think there was a question for APs on Ask Belvoir. They announced that South Post Express would have 2 fuel pumps open 24/7. However, both times we've tried, the 2 pumps said POS unavailable and do not work. Can we fix it? Some people need gas in the evening. So thank you for the question, because and I guess fortunately as the commander, I have the phone numbers of those who can work on it. And so the day after that the pumps came open, I went to the pump, and maybe it knew I was coming there, but I went there, I stopped my vehicle, and I was about to go pump fuel, and it's had that same message on it. But by the time I called the AP's manager and went back to the pump, it showed that the card was working, and it allowed me to pump the fuel. And so I told the general manager that the pump was good, thank you very much, and it was working. So I will take your comments, very valid comments. I will pass that back on to the general manager and to the shop bit managers to make sure that they're testing those fuel pumps. It may be a hit or miss because, again, I have gone there, I have used those fuel pumps in the evening, and they have worked for me. So again, more to follow. If that is still a concern next week, please let us know. But we will continue to gauge that and make sure they are working at night. Do we have any questions for Mr. Hill?
Yes, sir, we
Okay.
do. Since Northern Virginia is often the region lagging in the reopening criteria, how does Fairfax County work with the other area counties so many of our residents work in one county and live in another?
You want me to repeat the question? Please. How do we work as a region together? Is basically the question that I received. Fairfax County, yes, is part of Northern Virginia. Chairman Jeff McKay, as well as Chairman Randall from Loudoun County, Mayor Garvey from Arlington, Chair from Prince William County, can't remember her name, sorry, and Mayor Wilson from Alexandria, the city of Alexandria. We all get together to work through the progress and the process of us moving into phases 1 to phase 2. We have weekly calls. We discuss where we are as a community. As Captain Judy said, our case counts, I won't divulge the numbers for this show, are continuously going down. I believe today was the lowest case count I've had in the last 47 days that was COVID related. Our hospital beds are open. We have a capacity obviously on the base and outside of the base. Our death rates are going down significantly. Over the last 2 days, I've had a total of 1, which is a downward trend. It's not consecutive like we want it to be, but our downward trends are spiraling downward. So we work together to understand the statistics as well as understanding what's next and how we can move together as a region. Fairfax County, Northern Virginia, is 40% of the gross domestic product of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So it's very important for us to ensure that we can remain open as opposed to get open quick and then shut down again. That would be catastrophic to our region and to our economy. So more open dialogue and communication with Colonel Greenberg. We have weekly calls. Sometimes he is the second to know that when we're moving into a phase. And I really thank you for our open dialogue and our communication. Our goal is to make sure everybody's safe and sound, and that's what we have been doing here in Fairfax County.
Thank you. And again, I appreciate your openness as well. Whatever time of day or night it is, we seem to connect with each other, and if we can't get with each other during the day, we always have the night. And so thank you for your partnership with the base as well.
My pleasure.
So. All right, do you have a question for the hospital?
Since we have a guest, I don't know if there were more questions.
One more question,
Okay.
actually. Are parks and playgrounds open in Fairfax County?
Okay, are parks and playgrounds open in Fairfax County? The answer to that is yes and no. Sorry. Trails, parks are open. Playgrounds are not open as of yet. Pools are not open as of yet. But we want to get folks outside and to recreate because that's what you need to do in these times. We have put together a plan with the schools to open fields for our youth activities and sports to do baseball, start hopefully some football, socially distancing, but playgrounds are still closed.
Okay, great. You have a question?
I do. I had a couple of questions. One was regarding testing. The question was basically, when are we going to open screening to the general population as needed for travel to different states if that's required by the travel location? The answer to that really is, we can do that testing. I just need people to do the drive-through at the COVID clinic. It depends on what that testing is. I don't know that we're testing for vacations right now. There's been a lot of restriction of movement, and so I know that there are not a lot of people that are out there, but I also know that a lot of those restrictions are being lifted for people who are PCSing and transferring, and some of those sites are requiring quarantine on the other end. And so if you have a question about travel, upcoming travel, especially if it's mission travel, and that's for you and your family members, please just either call the COVID clinic or drive on up, and they will do the appropriate screening and make sure that you get the testing you need. So we're doing a lot of non-patient travel. We call that mission travel, and and we're able to do that and support that. So more to follow. The other question I had was, I think, a really important one. We spent a lot of time last week talking about return to work and questions that people have, and there was actually a specific question for what about high-risk people returning to work at the hospital. But I think that this is really true for anybody who is a high-risk employee based on maybe a chronic health condition or the job that they do with concerns. And so there's not a one-size-fits-all answer to, I'm high risk, do I have to return, or what do I need to do? The answer is really that that's a relationship between the employee, that employee supervisor, and the occupational health provider. So what I need for folks to do is to check in with their supervisor and the care that they're receiving from their primary care manager, their specialist, that's for that health condition. Take that documentation to the occupational health department so that they can work with you to make sure. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't come back to work. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to mitigate what makes that environment high risk for you. So if we can provide proper PPE, then we can do that. If we can change maybe the duty location so that there's more spacing in areas where the work is being done more in close quarters, then there are things that we can do. We can spread out shifts and do things. So there's not a one-size-fits-all answer. I wish there was for people, but by not having that one-size-fits-all, that gives us more flexibility to really meet the needs of the employee and still carry out the mission. So thanks. That's a great question. I really appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Dixon, if you start coming up, I want to answer one of your questions, and I'd like you answer a couple of those as well. So I want to address this question on the golf course. It says, the question is, why golf courses have not been discussed recently? How is the golf course not open? There is not a safer or more socially distanced place on earth than the golf course. We can get haircuts, but can't golf. What is the holdup? The golf says it's ready. There's more about, think they are trying to bankrupt it. The refusal to answer the question is one of the greatest questions of our generation. Are they corrupt? Stay closed to funnel business to Fairfax County. Only logical reason. So I appreciate the question and the candidness. But again, as it goes back, and you're laughing because, again, I understand people will think of everything. And so, great, I'll address the question. So no, we're not corrupt. No, we don't make money. No, we're not trying to funnel people to the county. Again, you don't see everything that we see here. I have folks from all over, not just here, but also across the National Capital Region, with different details. Not every Army golf course is open right now. In fact, there's still 11 or 9 golf courses still closed on Army installations. So again, I want to make sure you understand that I 100% agree that golf is a pretty safe activity. I understand there's frustrations with folks who use our golf course. But what I need you to understand is it's not just about the game of golf. It's not just about the activity. There are other things that people don't see. We had this conversation with access control points at one piece. And the question of, hey, why is the commander, or why are we doing this? And so I would ask, again, appreciate your patience on these items. Please don't expect the worst. We do have good intentions for everything that we do on the installation, but please understand there's more to it than sometimes what meets the eye. Go ahead, George. You had a couple questions?
Yes, sir. First question, is there a date set for when the RV park opens back up? I'm sure you're talking about the travel camp. We currently are operational to existing customers down there, and in July we will start beginning to take reservations for the rest of the year. Question number 2, and this is a big one, when will the gyms open for active duty? So the gyms as you once knew them, Graves and the Body Shop, will look nothing like they did when you left 13 weeks ago. We have spent weeks moving equipment around to make more room for distancing so that you have a comfortable environment to work out in. We expect to open sometime in July to active duty first, and then we'll slowly open up to the rest of the community. That's it for me, sir.
Okay, great. And Mr. Dixon said July. I will tell you, July is maybe a good time, but it could be earlier than that. Again, I think our trigger is HPCons. So when HPCon Bravo hits, the gyms, the golf courses, the outdoor recs, the salons, those will be a lot of the activities that will open up first. And then we will look at other activities across the installation. All right, Mr. Landgraf, you want to talk the pools real quickly? There was a question on above ground pool.
Yes, sir. The question was whether or not, since the pools are not opening, can the residents actually use pools greater than just the standard kiddie pool? The response we got from the housing partner is no. The housing agreement is still in place, which allows for a pool up to a depth of 18 inches, but not any deeper than that. And that becomes an issue of just safety all around for the fact of how much water is being stored and used in an area. So the short answer is no. No pools greater than what is allowed in your housing agreement.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question came out about emailing some members of the team. It was really about the active building app or the housing app, and not getting a response back. But whoever wrote the question, there has been a response back. As far as the concern was that you can't attach a picture to the application, and people want to be able to do that. We acknowledge that. The villages of Belvoir are working with the software designers and their own group to try to make that a function on the application itself. So again, I'm giving you a verbal response that I acknowledge that question is out there, and I believe there has been some responses by others as well. But again, the villages of Belvoir are working that. Is there any other questions for Mr. Hill? No more questions? Okay. I think we are. I have more questions, but I think for some time reasons, we're gonna push those to next week as well. I want to just give a couple minutes to my peers to say a couple of final words. So, Captain Judy?
Well, sir, I'll just wrap up by saying, the 100 days of summer are well underway. We've passed Memorial Day, but we reached another milestone today with the official end of the school year. I had the opportunity to do the drive-through pickup of all of your stuff from the school yesterday, and it was really a great opportunity. So thanks to all the teachers who came out in the very, very hot weather to say goodbye to their students as they came through in their cars to pick things up. I think that that was, our celebrations look different this year for sure, but that was something that was certainly well received by my family and for all of the other families that were in that car line waiting to go through. And I just can't thank those teachers and the school staff enough for what they do. So thanks, and to those students out there, congratulations on completing a very challenging and interesting year, and congratulations as you move up to your next grade.
Great, thank you. Mr. Hill?
Well, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to join both of you on this live Facebook chat, virtual town hall meeting. Fairfax County is here with you in support. If you do want to send golfers over, we'll take them, because we are really trying to increase our revenue as the pandemic has really put a damper on many things. But all seriousness aside, I do want to thank your leadership, sir, and thank you for being so collaborative and communicative with me. It seems that you always call when I'm in meetings, and I always figure out a way to talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. And just a couple final closing, because I left a couple of important things out. So first, I forgot to talk about the public schools and our challenges we're having right now with the email accounts. And so I want to put that out, and we're trying to reach out as far as other mechanisms. And so with some security protocols that have gone on, between both the Fairfax County schools and the military systems. What is happening right now is if someone is sending a note to someone else that's in if you're using a .mil account and the other person is using a Fairfax County public school account, the two of them are not talking with each other. And the challenge is you're not getting notified that they're not talking about each other. So if you have recently sent a note to someone with the Fairfax County public school last account with a mill account, please resend that with a non-military account. And likewise, the school is trying to, they're searching through their systems, they're sending texts. There's probably going to be a mass email going out as well, but they are also trying to find non-military addresses to address this now as they're trying to provide information for registration and also just other information that they want to put out to the schools. I talked yesterday with the Chief Operating Officer for Fairfax County Public Schools and some other leaders, and so this has been happening for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and so the county is aware. They are working hard to fix the problem, and more importantly, for the immediate needs. We are going to use this forum, so I put that information out. We're also going to put it out additionally with some Facebook postings, and then Fairfax County Schools will also put it out through their channels. So that's number one. Number two, the bridging ceremony, I believe, happened today, virtually. So all those 6th graders in the upper elementary school, congratulations officially with that bridging ceremony. Hopefully you enjoyed my comments to you, and hopefully you got down with me and did some push-ups. As I did 10 push-ups for you, hopefully you did 10 push-ups for me if you wanted to. So I enjoyed that. That was an honor to you. As you know, one of my known entities going into the school is trying to do some push-ups with those who want to do them with me. We didn't talk CDCs or child development centers, but I want to let you know that we are still working hard on child development centers. Those mission essential letters have gone out to folks. Those responses are due back to us on the 16th of June. Okay, and so if you think that you and your family member are mission essential, get those back by 16 June. After that, we'll look at the conditions. If you're moving on the installation, that's one thing, or you're moving from another place. But again, if it's after 16 June, you will fall under your priority. And then last, like I always do, thank you. Thank you for all those that continue to serve on this installation and they continue to do great work. I was privileged today to go down to our child development centers and recognize with coins all those child development center workers, both at the CDC and the SAC, that were doing great things down there. And so special shout out to them and the FMWR staff that have been really working hard to keep this installation alive and well. For the DES, first responders, the hospital, the contractors, and again, everyone else that have worked so hard to keep this installation going. Thank you, like I do every week at closing. I want to thank you for what you are doing to support this community at large. It really takes a full team effort to make this run. Again, reminder, this video, along with the virtual town hall, other virtual town hall videos, are posted on our Facebook page, located in the video section. We also will provide a weekly recap of the questions we addressed in the town hall on our website. Thank you for your questions and your feedback. We truly appreciate it. As I've said once or twice before, it's your questions, whatever your thoughts are, that makes us a better organization and a better installation. So thank you. Communication is the key to success. We try to communicate to you. We appreciate the communications back. Continue to stay safe and stay vigilant by continuing to practice social distancing, wearing your face coverings, and washing your hands. Remember, work together. We are making a difference. However, the virus is still out there. These preventive measures make a tremendous impact in keeping our community safe and healthy. Again, we appreciate your time and efforts of listening to us each week. We will see you next week at next week's Town Hall. Thanks again.